I spent over 150 hours building my interpretation of the library from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this is the journey that I took to get there. The journey includes a new server, a lot of material gathering, some farms, and of course, a ton of building. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Forever SMP. We gathered a group of like-minded content creators and friends that wanted to play a long-term survival Minecraft world. In this world, we plan to do things like farming materials, creating amazing projects, and even customizing entire biomes to our liking. Today we have about 10 members, and we plan to add potential additional members as we continue to grow. After the official server kickoff, we played a game to speedrun Minecraft. We split into 2 teams with the goal of being the first team to reach the stronghold with 6 Eyes of Ender. Due to the fact that my team lost, which I'm not salty about at all, we're gonna go ahead and just skip to the end where we teamed up to defeat the Ender Dragon for the first time on the Forever SMP.
Okay, I'm coming.
Here she comes.
Here you go.
No break.
There's chicken.
Thank you. I like chicken.
Okay, bed is
3,
prepared.
2, 1.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna put out some fires.
Oh!
Oh! How am I always dying?
Oh,
got it.
Oh,
Josh got it.
Nice.
Get out of the portal.
That is so absurdly loud.
We did it.
All the experience. I'll take everything.
After defeating the Ender Dragon, we went our separate ways to officially start the Minecraft grind. I immediately went end raiding to get geared up with elytra, diamond tools and armor, and of course, shulker boxes. Once that was complete, I made my way over to my first project area, where a little desert village was waiting to be conquered? I made friends with the local villagers and started collecting materials for the upcoming library project. Now that I had a temporary place to call home, it was on to the material gathering stages. The total amount of items needed for the library were just over 600,000 blocks. That meant that gathering the materials turned into hours upon hours of grinding. One thing that I'd like to note is that none of the tools that I am using currently have the mending enchantment. I'd like to see how many diamond tools I end up breaking, and one day I may end up using mending on my tools, but for the foreseeable future, I'll keep breaking tools as I continue to grind. To complete the library, I needed a couple of farms. You already saw the completed temporary iron farm that I made at the starter village. Another farm that I needed to complete the materials included a froglight farm. This farm was a real hassle due to having to breed the frogs and hatch the eggs in weather-based biomes. This farm was primarily built for 2 reasons: froglights, which should be obvious, and magma blocks for the next farm. For the gold farm, I used Ilmango's base design, and I created my own design for the bartering farm and the storage system. I plan to update this in the near future once I have access to the auto crafter, as sitting around crafting gold ingots for hours on end is not what I call having a good time. This farm was used primarily to gather specific materials like blackstone and quartz. The last farm that I built is a temporary raid farm. I needed access to a lot of emeralds and found trading for emeralds to be extremely tedious and time consuming. The raid farm design is by ENX04 and will definitely be broken down eventually. If you had really keen eyes and were paying a lot of attention to the last clip, you might have noticed that I had set up 2 beacons as part of the raid farm. Technically, I killed the wither just after building the gold farm, but it didn't really make sense to show it until now. After defeating the wither the first time, I decided to punish myself, and I went ahead and did it 12 more times. Yes, I manually collected 39 wither skeleton heads and killed 13 withers to end up getting 13 beacons. I know it sounds like a lot and it might have been a waste of time, but I promise there are reasons for this. However, at this time, I'm not going to reveal it. It's kind of a secret that I think I'm going to save for a future video. From here, it was time to start clearing the area to make some room for the library. At this point in the process, I was living out of shulker boxes and a small chest monster. It was a nightmare, so I decided before I could do anything else, I needed a starter storage room. I decided to include this in the library since I knew that I would be spending the next few months building it, and it didn't really make sense to start a whole separate project for item storage when I was already in the middle of my Mega Starter project. I also decided to add a couple of useful farms into the library, including a tree farm. which was also designed by ENX04, but slightly altered to meet my needs. This tree farm design works for almost all of the trees in Minecraft, other than mangrove and dark oak. I also added in 2 bone meal farms to feed into the tree farm. The bone meal farms are designed by Ilmango, and as long as you don't leave the area with them on, they work great. I could probably get by with only 1 farm, but 2 made sure that I never ran out of bone meal, and even overflows into another group of chests for any bone meal or bone block needs I may have in the future. Now that the base infrastructure was in place, it was time to start on the actual library. The primary function of the library is a trading hall housing all of the different types of villagers. To accomplish this, I completed the foundation of the library, a villager breeder, and also built separate rooms for each type of villager. Once the foundation was in place, I added in the villager breeder. The breeder was designed by another member of the Forever SMP, Death Dealer. I then adjusted his design to fit into a room in the library and modified it to meet my needs. Once the villager breeder was completed, I needed rooms to store the villagers in. After the rooms were built, I spent a couple of weeks breeding villagers, zombifying and purifying them, locking in their trades, and then carting them off to their individual rooms where I can trade with them. This process took a long time, as I refused to have anything but the best when it came to villagers. As an example, every librarian has their primary book trade set to 1 emerald. They sell bookshelves, they trade books for emeralds, and lastly, they have to have the glass trade. I may or may not have ended up killing over 250 villagers to make this possible. Before we get into the rest of the library build, I wanted to take a moment to talk about mega projects. When you build a mega project or a mega base for content creation, there are a couple things that you have to keep in mind. The first is how you plan to build it. This is important because a mega project cannot be completed in 1 session, meaning you have to plan ahead for things like mob proofing. If you don't, and then you take a break from building, mobs may spawn in areas that do not yet have lighting, and in this case can blow up things like my storage room, or even worse, kill the villagers I just spent weeks of my time investing in. The second is how you plan the recordings for the video. Up to this point, I built based off of things that I needed. I needed materials, so I built farms. I needed organization, so I built storage. From here, the rest is no longer based on needs. It's all based on my vision for the library and how to complete that vision. The rest of the library took me around 8 to 10 hours of recording every single weekend for over a month and a half. I ended up breaking it up into more manageable projects by separating each of the floors of the library into separate sections. With that, I'm going to quit talking and let you enjoy the time-lapse conclusion to the project that took me over 4 months of planning, gathering, building, and recording. With that, the library is complete, at least for now. I will probably continue to touch it up over time since we are playing on the Forever SMP. But before we call it a day, let's talk a little bit about my channel plans. I love to make large project-based videos like this one, and will continue to release them over time. However, these large projects take an enormous amount of time to complete in survival, so I don't expect to release more than 2 to 3 project videos a year. Thankfully, I have other goals and plans on Forever that should help with mitigating the limited amount of videos. One of those goals is to eventually build farms to farm every item that I can in Minecraft. Like you saw in the video earlier, I built multiple farms to complete this project. I plan to have a farm series of videos as well that I will release between project videos based on farms I have just built on the Forever SMP. Another small series of videos I plan to do is cinematic time lapses based on the projects. No talking, shorter, hyper-focused cinematic time lapses overlaid with music for you to enjoy. I also plan to release these videos between projects. If there are any other types of content or videos you would like to see, please let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video and seeing my vision and interpretation of the Wan Shi Tong Library from Avatar: The Last Airbender become a reality in Minecraft. I am excited for the future of Forever, and I hope you are too. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all those other fun YouTube things. And I hope to catch you on the next Forever SMP video.